your things. We'll leave as soon as we can, all right?
In the year 1950, Alice works as a prostitute so as to sustain her everyday life ever since her parents disowned her for being a lesbian into this so-called immoral act just to keep living. She sometimes visits her parents secretly. Alice rents a room where a couple owns it, but was asked to leave and look for another place to rent when the wife knew that Alice is a prostitute. A lady inviting people to join their church saw Alice while negotiating with a man. She tries to invite Alice to their church and tells her she needs to be saved, but this only annoys Alice. She has nowhere to go, so she decides to go back to her parents' house. They ask her again if she has changed and found a guy to marry. They were upset knowing Alice is still the same, but accepts her again to live with them. Her mother suffers from anxiety. When Alice came back, her mother frequently feeling sick, and that's when her father decides that Alice should look for another place to live or maybe a work to sustain her life. That night, Alice comes to visit a family gathering and pretends to be one of the guests. She starts eating and drinking, then she sneaks into one of the rooms and fell asleep. The next day, a beautiful lady woke her up. She is the daughter of a doctor who owns the house and is a very religious family. Alice tells him she can apply to be their housemaid. They came up with the agreement that she can stay with them and be their helper as long as she can also join their church. Left with no other choice, Alice said yes even if it's against her will. Then Alice meets Annabelle, who she feels instantly attracted to. Annabelle is so kind to treat Alice fairly and even offers her a new dress to wear and food to eat. Alice stares at Annabelle, then smiles. That very moment, Alice knew that she is still attracted to women. While cleaning, she meets Lillian with Annabelle's brother, who is visibly attracted to her. Lillian looks at Alice and tells her they must have met somewhere before. Then Alice somehow remembers that Lillian was the one who invited her before to join their church. But she didn't reveal this. During their dinner, the family asked more personal questions to Alice. Again, they insist that she should join their church, but this time around, Alice tells them that they should be giving her enough time to decide. Lillian creates a difficult atmosphere for Alice, as she really feels that Alice was the prostitute she saw before. As Alice continues to work as their helper, she is now starting to gain their trust, but accept Lillian. Alice attends their service, and while watching Annabelle sing with the choir, she now begins to feel sexually attracted to her, but she then controls her emotions. The two women start to spend more time together. They even share the night sleeping together, but Alice still tries to avoid any sexual act towards Annabelle. They had another chance to talk, and this time, Alice asked Annabelle about Lillian and Annabelle's brother. Alice is quite intrigued why Lillian doesn't sleep with Annabelle's brother since they are actually married. Annabelle explains that Lillian is one of the church leaders and that their faith forbids her to think sexual acts. But Alice finds this reason so absurd. While cooking, Alice begins to feel the tension and starts to touch Annabelle. This moment was interrupted when Annabelle's father came. Alice and Lillian had another confrontation. Lillian questions Alice why she is not living with her parents, then Alice asks her as well why she is not sleeping with her husband. A gathering at Annabelle's house was the chance for Alice's parents to see her again. She talks to them and explains that this family is so kind to let her stay with them and work as their helper, and that she is trying to change and adopt their faith. But Alice knew deep within her who she really is. She needs to pretend that she is trying to change so that her mother won't be sick anymore. She got drunk that she fell asleep, and Annabelle woke her up since she is needed outside to prepare the chairs and tables. Then Lillian warns Annabelle not to be too close to Alice. During a prayer, Lillian made a scene and reveals to everyone that Alice is homosexual. Alice's parents feel so embarrassed, then her mother starts to faint. Alice loves her mother, so finally she decides to talk with the pastor and ask for his help for being homosexual. She wanted to try this time and maybe it will help her realize that she is really not into women. She now attends the service again but feels humiliated when people see her and gossip about her being a lesbian and a prostitute. She now begins to invite people to join their church. Annabelle visits Alice and gave her food and books to read. Annabelle asks Alice what it is like to be a lesbian. Alice begins to share her life and told Annabelle that she had a relationship with a girl before. It was difficult for them since they know people will judge them, so they decide to end their relationship. Annabelle stayed with Alice, then suddenly Annabelle kissed her. This act somehow made Annabelle realize that she is attracted to women as well. But Annabelle was scared and feels guilty of what she did. The two women did try to avoid what they feel for each other, but they just can't control it anymore and they finally made love. Alice tells Annabelle they can leave the town and start a new life. This made Annabelle scared, then she confesses to Lillian about what happened. Annabelle is caught between her faith and her love for Alice. Alice was kicked out of Annabelle's house and her parents doesn't want to take her in as well. Alice's ex-girlfriend comes to see her and tells her she needs to trust God that she will be healed just like what happened to her. She attends the healing service where Lillian was the one who confronts her. Alice knew deep within her that she has to try, but she still can't hide the fact that she is really a lesbian. She even tried to have a relationship with a man, but it still didn't work. After quite some time, Annabelle gets to visit Alice. Annabelle reveals that her life wasn't the same anymore the moment Alice left. Now that she has found a man to marry, she wanted Alice to know about it, but if given the chance, she wanted to be with Alice. Despite being with a man, Annabelle still loves Alice so much. Alice went to see Annabelle and they made love once more. This time, Annabelle is so sure she wanted to be with Alice, so they plan to leave the town and that Annabelle will wait for Alice. But Alice's love for her mother made her stay with her parents, and Annabelle stayed with her husband-to-be. This decision made Alice so devastated as she knows deep within her she loves Annabelle. But they both know it is so difficult to continue their relationship.
I was in the neighborhood to pick up a few things and I thought I'd stop by.
Want more queer content? Then please subscribe and hit the notification bell.